Hello everyone, thank you for joining us for our Thursday, July 2nd, Indian River County coronavirus briefing. Today you'll hear from County Administrator Jason Brown and County Health Administrator Miranda Hawker. After they've delivered their presentations, they will be available for questions. Jason?
All right, thanks Brian. Thanks everyone for coming. Just want to talk to you about a couple things briefly today. Beaches, we've gotten a lot of questions about beaches. I just want to remind everyone that the beaches in the city of Vero are open to residents of the city and the county only. The county does not at this time plan to have residency restrictions at our beaches. I will say that county officials will be monitoring the attendance at our beaches during the holiday weekend. We will have additional county personnel present to encourage and educate folks on social distancing as we did in the past. And I will say that something that's about county beaches is they are restricted with limited parking. There's a limited access, limited parking. The parking is a self-governing item. I will say that once we have parking lots full, no more cars will be permitted to park. And we will have those county officials there. We also will have help from our friends at the Sheriff's Office to ensure that people are not blocking the roadways and parking illegally along the roadways. I know there has been a lot of concern that some folks have expressed about people coming up from South Florida. I would say to our local residents, I believe our parking is going to be self-limiting. I also tell our local residents, go to the beach early. Here it may rain in the afternoons, which kind of happens around here a lot, but we'll get to the beach early, our local residents, and I would say to those folks who might think about coming up here from South Florida, the parking lots are probably going to be full by the time you get here. So I would hate anyone to drive up for 2 hours to not be able to go to the beach or have to deal with our friends at the Sheriff's Office should they park illegally along the side of the road. I will also say that this condition is subject to change. If we have a congestion problem, the county does reserve the right to implement restrictions and make changes as the weekend goes along. Again, I would ask everyone to abide by all of the social distancing guidelines and do not congregate in large groups. Enjoy yourself when you go to the beach, which I believe is something that we want to keep open for our residents, as there are many things that government has been telling folks not to do. Don't go to bars, wear a mask. We're not going to have organized fireworks displays. We want to keep those beaches open. We plan to keep those beaches open. And I believe, as normally would happen on a 4th of July weekend, those parking lots will fill up with Indian River County residents who have a nice short drive to get to them. Next, just want to have a reminder about the masks. Effective Monday morning, the county put into place a mask ordinance requiring folks, employees of certain indoor businesses such as restaurants and retail and other public-facing businesses, to wear a mask. We strongly encourage the public to wear a mask when you go out and about, particularly if you're in a situation where social distancing is not possible, but also with a special attention to doing so indoors. And folks will be required to wear masks when they come into county buildings or ride the GO line. And then I brought my stick along with me here. As a reminder, we've been talking about masks a lot, but let's remember social distancing as well. Try and stay 6 feet away from folks if you can. Don't gather and cluster in large groups. And remember to wash those hands. You know, a lot of this is elementary. You may get tired of us saying it, but we want to keep getting the message out. So everybody remember to do that social distancing. And this 4th of July is going to be a little bit different from recent 4th of Julys, but I want to encourage everyone to have a safe, healthy and happy 4th of July. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. And now you will all hear from County Health Administrator Miranda Hawker.
So I'd like to start with some statewide numbers. Statewide, as of 11 o'clock, there are 169,106 cases, with 15,150 Florida residents hospitalized and 3,617 deaths. Our current number of cases is at 772, with 231 cases reported since last week's press conference. In the last 2 weeks, we've increased by 490 cases. Our median age is now 39, and more than 63% of our total cases have occurred in these last 2 weeks. I did want to remind you, because I love to talk about those numbers to draw people's attention. Just last week, we were at 541 cases with 51 hospitalizations and 66 cases in long-term care facility staff and residents and 16 deaths. This week, we're at 772 with 56 hospitalizations, 85 cases in long-term care facility staff and residents. It's critically important that all of us work on those basic things like wearing a mask, washing your hands, maintaining your social distance, because we want to take care of all of our residents. It's not just about you if you're young, if you're in your 20s and 30s. You've got to think about everyone else that you're around, because if you're sick, you've got the possibility to infect them. I am still very, very concerned about the number of significant increases we've been seeing. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I know everyone wants to get together like we have in years past on the 4th of July, but it's really important that all of us avoid large gatherings this weekend and maintain your social distancing. And so is it possible to go to that link? So I had someone that called me this week and wanted me to talk about face coverings. So it's important that everybody wears their face covering correctly, that you're not pulling it down under your chin, that you're not holding it down like looping from your ear. What else have I seen? That you're not just bringing it down just under your nose, because those are all they're not good habits that we have, because then you could breathe in whatever could be on the front of your mask. You're wearing a face covering to protect others, and you don't touch your face covering. If you do, you're washing your hands. When you take it off, you want to take it off from the ear loops and then fold inward. And then throw it cloth face covering you're throwing in the wash. If you're wearing a disposable mask, you're throwing it in the garbage. Your cloth face covering you want to wash on the warmest possible setting. Put it in a hot dryer. If you're air drying it, air dry it in the sun. All of that information you can find on the CDC website. If you've got more questions, they've got some good videos on how to make your own cloth face covering. There's a lot of good information on there. Thank you. Okay, now I wanted to talk a little bit about the numbers. And so this graph you've seen before. These are our PCR tests by week of specimen collection, year to date, week 26, that's the week we're in, for Indian River County residents. So this number is unduplicated. And you can see now that trend line of the percent positive, that's now at 9% for this past week, and that is higher than any amount that we've had before, even when we first started in this really pandemic for coronavirus. And you can see our positive and negative tests as indicated in that orangey color. And again, that stay-at-home order when it was issued and when it was lifted. And we really want to see that trend line start to go down. and that's why it's important that all of us work together. And so this is our epi curve, and even though you see lesser peaks there on the end, don't let that deceive you, because we still traditionally have higher peaks in there. We're not by any means out of this. This is a stacked graph, and so it's for Vero Beach, Sebastian, and Fellsmere. And these are the amount of positive tests that we've had, cases, in each of those cities. And so Vero Beach, you can see there in gray. You can see the orangey color is Sebastian, and that bluish color is Fellsmere. So last week, the city of Vero Beach, 2 weeks ago, the city of Vero Beach had 205 cases. Last week, they were at 326, and now they're at 464. So just from last week, they've increased by 138 cases. Last week, the city of Sebastian, that's 2 weeks ago, was at 23 cases. Last week, they were at 33, and now they're at 65, which is an increase of 32 cases. And then when you look at that the blue color for Fellsmere, 2 weeks ago they were at 56. This week they were at last week they were at 139, and now this week they're at 192. And you can see that trend line and how those cases occurred. In terms of our cases by race, and we've had 6% of our cases in the Black population, 43% of our cases are in the white population, unknown and under investigation 41%, and other at 10%. For ethnicity, 21% in the Hispanic population, non-Hispanic 34%, and under investigation unknown 45%. Cases by age group, and you can see this trend that's continued to shift to a younger population. Our median age is now 39. 12% of our cases have occurred in people 75 years of age and over. There are 17% in 55 to 74, 35 to 54, 28%, 20 to 34 at 29%, 5 to 19 at 12%, and 0 to 4 at 1%. Our deaths, thankfully, this week so far have remained at 16. And that is all I have for today.
Thank you, Miranda. If anyone has any questions, you can step up to this podium here to my left.
Just a couple questions real quick.
Okay.
One is, so the numbers that come out on a daily basis, those, as I move my mask, those are unduplicated, right? So if I tested positive 2 weeks ago and I came back and got retested, I wouldn't be counted in that, right?
Our case counts, the state data is the first time positive is the one that they count. Our case data is our case data. We count that by residents and by one positive, one resident, if that helps.
So if somebody tested positive 3 times over a period of a week, they wouldn't be showing up as 3 positives?
No.
Okay, because people seem to misunderstand that. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, that's a good point, and our positives are positives, and so our cases are climbing.
Okay. And then the other question is, lost my train of thought, but I'll get back to you.
Okay. The one statistic I forgot to mention is we are at 16 hospitalizations, with 3 in the ICU and 2 of those on vents.
Can you tell us anything about the sheriff's department?
No.
Okay, well, 3 deputies, deputies were positive this week?
So overall, the Department of Health does not comment on our cases. We only comment on our numbers. And certainly if there are things that I want to inform the public about, like large gatherings, like people being in close proximity, those are the kinds of things we talk about, but we don't comment
Okay,
on.
so you're not
cases.
aware whether or not there are currently any cases within the inmate population?
So what I can tell you in terms of the correctional cases is that we had one staff person that was from outside the county or worked outside the county that was a county resident that did test positive for COVID. But we have had that individual case for now a few weeks now, I believe.
Okay. Is the health department expecting another spike in 14 days from this weekend?
So I would hope that we don't.
I should say, are you prepared for one should it occur?
Yes, we are preparing. We have additional staff that have filled our resource request from the state. I can tell you that everything that we were talking about with Mr. Brown, bringing out a 6-foot stick, telling people to please maintain their social distancing, avoid large groups. I hope it does rain so we can avoid large congregations of people on the beaches who may be in close proximity. If all of those things are followed, I hope that we don't see those increases in the future. And it's up to all of us to work together to be able to minimize that and mitigate this pandemic.
I do have a question for you, but perhaps you want to.
Colleen, you have a question?
We've talked a little bit about, or a lot about, the beaches and large gatherings. What about county parks and boat ramps? Those areas where a lot of people might congregate. Is there going to be any kind of patrols or to make sure that there are no large gatherings? Is there any concern about that?
So we have our parks and our boat ramps open. We would ask our residents to continue practicing good practices and social distancing as they had last weekend, and hopefully the following weekend. Our expectation is everyone uses those facilities in a safe way, believe that outside activities such as those can be done in a safe manner, and we want to make sure that the public has the opportunity to get out and do some things. But again, we would encourage everyone to practice good social distancing. You're not supposed to be gathering in large groups. And my hope is that our Indian River County residents keep doing what they have been doing and help reduce the chance of spread of the coronavirus.
Okay. You said before that the changes or the no restrictions on the beaches to residents could change. At what point would you implement some kind of restriction? Or is there a point that you would consider a change?
We will observe the conditions and see how it's going at our beaches as the weekend continues, and we will make adjustments as necessary.
Okay. How would you make adjustments?
We can make changes to the availability of our facilities.
Okay, thank you.
And Miranda, I just had some questions for you. So for the 16 hospitalizations, you said that 3 are in the ICU?
3 are in the ICU, and of those 3, 2 are on vents.
Okay. And can you tell me how many are at Cleveland Clinic and how many are at Sebastian River Medical Center?
All of those that are hospitalized for COVID are at Cleveland Clinic in Union River.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right, that's all I wanted.
Jason, it's just a generic question. Why are masks not mandatory in Indian River County when the population is an at-risk population, and counties around Florida are implementing mandatory masks. So just an explanation of why not in Indian River County, or why not yet in Indian River County.
So thank you. Yes, what we have done is we've required masks for some workers, and we've required masks as you enter certain facilities. However, our goal at Indian River County is always to encourage the proper behavior and not mandate things that we don't have to on the public. It is my hope that people will wear those masks. I'll say, as I've gone about around town, it seems like the number of people wearing masks has increased. It's not yet where I'd like to see it. Like to see universal compliance, but we're getting closer to that. And I would not rule out taking further action if we don't see the right results as far as mask compliance and the numbers and the experience that we have from testing and in our healthcare facilities.
Thank you, everyone. As always, you can find up-to-date information about Indian River County's local response to the coronavirus at our county website at www.ircgov.com. And we hope that everyone has a safe and healthy holiday weekend.